A little late, Coop.
Yeah, we had a flash.
It's an Indian surveillance drone. Solar cells power an entire farm.
What'd you do, Murph?
She didn't do nothing.
Murphy's Law.
You're a well-educated man, Coop, and a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
The world doesn't need any more engineers. We didn't run out of planes and television sets. We ran out of food.
Dad, why did you name me after something that's bad?
Oh, we didn't.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. It means that whatever can happen will happen.
We must confront the reality that nothing in our solar system can help us.
Now you need to tell me what your plan is to save the world.
We're not meant to save the world. We're meant to leave it. And this is the mission we were trained for.
I've got kids, Professor.
Get out there and save them.
You have no idea when you're coming back.
I'm coming back.
We must reach far beyond our own lifespans. We must think not as individuals, but as a species. We must confront the reality of interstellar travel.
Murph, I love you. Forever. I'm coming back.
Interstellar travel, eh? Just ask Charlton Heston how that turns out. Those damn dirty apes. And speaking of things to be angry at, that damn dirty Alfonso Cuarón, because I think he's made it almost impossible for anyone to make a space movie post-Gravity. I think it was really bad timing on Christopher Nolan's part to have to follow that act. Not only does he not seem to have as good quality special effects as Cuarón, while I had problems with Gravity's story, it's undeniable that the strides that it made in terms of special effects and the portrayal of space travel and space missions. Not only can Nolan not match the technical achievements there, but he seems to have gone for some kind of 70s vibe here. This movie is very derivative of a lot of films. You know, over the weekend I reviewed Godzilla, and a lot of people were saying, why do you reference other movies when reviewing a film? Why can't it stand alone? Well, that's because these films don't exist in a vacuum. They exist in Hollywood, the history of filmmaking, and so they often do reference, and even if it's sometimes unintentional, the films that came before them. That's why it's so remarkable when someone manages to do something truly new, like Alfonso Cuarón, to his credit. Also James Cameron, that's one of the reasons that Avatar, well, again, both those instances are technological achievements that were new, but the stories not new, actually quite derivative as well, and that's where you'll see a lot of the criticisms of those films, particularly Avatar. Now here, I'd originally, with the anticipation of this trailer dropping, which by the way, didn't play in front of my version of Godzilla, and I heard from some of you, at least in the UK, was it in front of your showing of Godzilla? So I don't know where Warner Brothers is showing this. And also, I wish they would play by the rules by releasing their trailers on Thursdays. This is the second time they've kind of like, surprise, Interstellar trailer. And I think as a result, the real surprise is that it doesn't really get a lot of traction in the news cycle, because Friday afternoon isn't the greatest time to, really, debut something. And especially something that isn't fantastic. Christopher Nolan's really going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat with this one, and he's really going to test how effective, and if it's still going on, the mantra of "In Nolan we trust." Now, I said this was derivative, and so I said when I was, again, back to what I was just saying, when this trailer was about to break, I said that I felt that there were a lot of Spielberg references here. But now that I've seen this longer trailer, it's not Spielberg, it's Kubrick, in my opinion. A lot of 2001: Space Odyssey. I'm also seeing a lot of Ridley Scott here. I'm reminded specifically of, the hypersleep in Alien, but also in Planet of the Apes, because that's why I referenced that at the beginning. And not only in terms of ideas, but the visuals, and going back to kind of those 1970s visual effects. I don't know why, if the world in the future is plunged into despair, it would go into the 70s. Also, when you have this kind of 70s look to the style of the film, and these cornfields, I'm also getting very strong True Detective vibes, also with Matthew McConaughey, who I have to say, very skilled actor. I think he's really, matured as a performer and as an artist, but he doesn't have a lot of different modes, or I guess you could say range is a better way to describe it. So I'm getting a lot of True Detective here. It's just now he's retired from being a detective, and he's going to go be philosophical on a farm, and he has some kids, and oh look, he knows Michael Caine, because everybody in a Christopher Nolan movie knows Michael Caine. So I'm intrigued. I'm curious as to how much of this will be on Earth, and how much of this movie will be in interstellar, travel in space. Some people, there's been rumors there's time loops. We've been hearing that. So perhaps he's going to really actually pull a Charlton Heston and come back to Earth, but at a different time, or we'll see what the twist is. They're playing this one very close to the vest, and I don't know if it's going to pay off for them. But I have to say, honestly, it's a Christopher Nolan film. How can you not see it? I would definitely see it. But I mean, maybe that's only film fans. The real trick for these movies to be successful is if they can get the person who usually doesn't go to the movies every weekend to go. That's the real trick to getting a blockbuster. Getting someone to say, you know what, I won't wait till it comes out on video, on demand and streaming and such. I'm going to see it now. That's the hurdle. And I don't know if this movie has what it takes to clear that hurdle. Matthew McConaughey, not a big box office draw. They're not really utilizing any, Jessica Chastain, not big box office. And Hathaway also, not dependable box office. So I don't really see a hook here. And, it's very risky to not tell your audience what's happening in your movie, because then there's no reason for them to feel they need to go. If you don't give them a hook in terms of story or special effects. The only real hook here is Nolan and McConaughey, and we'll see if that's enough. Also, by the way, a lot of Grapes of Wrath vibes here too. The Grapes of Wrath, very good film. Of course, way back when with Henry Fonda. I do recommend that you check it out at some point, and perhaps before you see Interstellar, because I think this is drawing from that as well. And also, I would like to know your thoughts on derivative filmmaking. How does a filmmaker make something their own? I feel Nolan had a very original style of filmmaking for quite some time on display, not just in the Batman trilogy, but also Inception was clearly a Nolan film. And I also thought The Prestige was clearly a Nolan film. I mean, you could tell just from looking at it, you were watching a Christopher Nolan movie. And do you think that it was a good idea for him to jettison that? Or do you think he should have, stuck with his visual style? Hitchcock's films always looked the same. They were instantly recognizable, and it served him quite well, and does to this day. Spielberg as well. I think Spielberg, when he started to, not follow his code, his style, what made him famous, I think he's also run into a little bit of problems. He's become more inconsistent as a filmmaker, and also inconsistent in terms of the quality of the films, and of the box office. So we'll see if Nolan, this is a very risky time to be making changes as he tries to transition out of the DC movies that he was doing, and perhaps he will pull a Bryan Singer and realize that that's truly where he belongs. We'll see, though. We'll see. So write your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for tuning into my review, and you can check out some more episodes right now.